Hey guys, I wanted to make this video just based around what happens if CRO doesn't work. So what happens if conversion rate optimization doesn't work on your Shopify store? Does that mean that CRO doesn't work? Is that even a valid question? And it's something that's come up recently, speaking with some of our clients. Of course, we typically get really good results for clients, but not every test we run performs great. And you always explain that, okay, well, X amount of tests need to be done, and then usually a proportion of those will be successful and a portion won't, and the ones that are successful, on average, have this amount of increase, and there's all this stuff. But I think fundamentally, it's just important to know that whenever you try something, especially something new, there's a high likelihood that it's not going to work. In fact, there's a high likelihood that a lot of the stuff that you test on your Shopify store won't work. And this one is going to be a little bit rambly. I don't have a proper presentation. I literally just put this question on a slide and just wanted to talk about it. But I think that generally in life and in business especially, whenever you do something new, you will usually incur some type of short-term loss. Now, the case studies are great where you implement a handful of changes and those changes double conversion rates and they do it straight out the gate. But being realistic, that is unlikely to happen to you. And so usually what needs to happen is you make some changes. Either you can make a bunch at a time or you can make one at a time. It's better to make one at a time, although sometimes with costs and time constraints, it's not always possible. And especially if you're starting from quite a poor place, conversion rates are bad, if the website's quite ugly and not very user friendly, then it might be an idea to kind of revamp some of the main templates and then do CRO on top of those. But certainly the most scientific way to do things would be to do one optimization at a time. It's just that it might take you 6 months to redo your entire product page, for example. So conversion rate optimization always works. 100% of the time it works. There is no case where CRO does not work, but it takes time to find something that works. And so what any CRO expert or person who does conversion rate optimization, whether it be on Shopify stores or on landing pages or really on anything, does is they look at the structure of the page, they look at the messaging, they look at your target demographic, they look at where your traffic is coming from, where they're landing, what the intent is, what the goal of the traffic is in terms of like, are we getting someone to book a call? Are we looking to get someone to make a purchase? Are we looking to get someone to subscribe to something, etc.? And then from there, they essentially make educated guesses on what could be improved on the actual store itself or on the layout itself. Now, you will use tools like Microsoft Clarity or Hotjar or GA to figure out some information regarding most popular landing pages, most popular categories, what buttons people click on the most, how far people scroll on the page, where most of their attention is, how people interact with the current website to an extent. But even so, you're still making educated guesses because what you're doing is you're sitting back and you're looking at a user arriving on the store and then you're picking out across multiple users what the most likely path is. So 80% of people that land on the website click on this button, that takes them to this page. On this page, 80% of people scroll this far down and then they click on this or they click off. And so what you want to do then is try and figure out, well, okay, out of those people, how can we get more of them to actually go into a product page? So we ideally want to maybe change the button on the first page to direct directly to the end page we want them to get to, or maybe on the second page, there's something that we can do, etc., etc. And then you run a test and you see if it works, and if it doesn't, then you try something else. And so CRO is a lot like business, where it's like, you don't have to be right every time, but you're only wrong if you stop. And so this is the message I kind of want to drive home, which is that the longer you test for, the more likely you are to be successful. And sometimes tests can produce a small increase of a 1% increase in conversions or a 2% increase, and other times they can produce a 100% increase in conversions. You can go from 0.5% to a 1% conversion rate. You can increase average order value as well. You can increase uptake on subscriptions and things like that. You can reduce abandoned carts. There's lots that you can do, and it can be very powerful, but you're not necessarily, it's unlikely that you're going to hit all of those notes straight out the gate. It's going to take a little bit of time. And the only time you lose, the only time it doesn't work is when you stop. Because all you're doing when you're running tests that don't work is ruling out what doesn't work. And then you're turning your attention closer and closer to things that do work. And it can take a while, but we use data to try and shorten that time. So if we were to go in blind and just be like, okay, let's change this color over here and change this section and change that and just kind of like willy-nilly make some random optimizations, it's going to take a long time. But when you implement data tracking on the website, understand how people are interacting with it, use some common sense behind the user journey and the UX of the store, use some learnings from perhaps other stores that you have done CRO on before if you do have that backlog available for this niche, it streamlines things a lot and makes it much simpler and much easier as well. So pretty short video, but I really just wanted to highlight that CRO always works for as long as you let it. there's never a point that it doesn't work except when you stop testing. And for sure, like if you're working with an agency or a freelancer, it might get to a point where you're like, well, I only want to invest this much. And everything in business is a gamble, essentially. Even paid ads are a gamble, right? Because you will put money into Meta or Google or TikTok or whatever. You don't necessarily have a guarantee you're going to get that back. What gives you the confidence you're going to get that back is past data. But you only got that past data from taking a more high risk gamble at the time where you didn't have that data in the first place. You ran a bunch of creatives, most didn't work, one or two did work. You took those one or two that did work, scaled them up into their own campaigns, made variations of them. Maybe you did some retargeting or whatever. That started to work, and then you built upon that. And so everything is a little bit of a risk, and CRO is as well. And so really what you want to do is, instead of looking for that silver bullet that's just going to come in and magically transform your business, you want to allocate some level of budget to CRO optimizations. And then what you want to do is go through that budget intelligently. Don't just blow it all, on the first person you speak to. Intelligently go through that budget, try and put together X amount of tests or X amount of new templates or whatever. Test them one by one and gain learnings from them. Even if you don't increase your conversion rates, you still want to get data. Okay, how did people interact with this template that decreased our conversion rates or kept it the same? What were the changes on it? How did it differ from what we have currently? Bank all of that data. And then when you have a little bit more cash in the war chest and you have a little bit more money to spare, then you go again, and then you go again, and then you go again. And eventually you will start to understand your customers much better. And you'll have a backlog of tests that were well documented, that way you could see what worked and what didn't work, why it worked, why it didn't work, and what the results were. And then from there, you can really optimize your store quite significantly. And whereas most will spend this amount of time, energy, and effort on Meta, very few spend this time, energy, and effort on their actual website. And so in the same way that you hear about people like doubling their ROAS or like having the 20x ROAS on a crazy campaign that they ran, you can 20x your revenue on your Shopify store if you do it right. If you significantly increase your average order value, increase your conversion rates, increase your returning customer rates, sync it with, some email flows and things like that, where you're retargeting existing customers, you can have these crazy results on your store without increasing ad spend. But it just takes time and effort and work, just like marketing does as well. So you want to treat these as two pieces of the same pie, as opposed to some random thing that you'll think about whenever you think about. Your website is arguably just as important as your marketing. And so you really want to marry them together and make sure that you spend a similar amount of time iterating on your website as you do on your creatives, and put as much time, energy, effort into that as you do your front end. But anyway, that's just some rambling from me. What happens if CRO doesn't work? Well, it only works if you stop working. But otherwise, wishing you guys all the best. There's some links in the description if you need any help, but otherwise we'll chat soon.